Okay, so in this section, we will talk about graphs of polar equations. Okay, so we wanted to use point plotting to graph the polar equations and also use symmetry. Okay, a lot of homework is symmetry to graph polar equations. Okay, actually, we only, use the basic concepts of the symmetry. Okay, so use polar grids to graph. Okay, so a polar equation is an equation whose variable are r and theta. We have already talked about it in the polar forms in last section. Okay, so we use polar grids like the one in the figure, so like this thing, to graph the polar equations. Okay, so the graphs of r equal to a cosine and r equal to a sine are circles. Yeah, so why is this a circles? I think we have already done this. R equal to a cosine. Okay, so how could we change the polar coordinates to the rectangular coordinates? X equal to r cosine, y equal to r sine. Are you with me? So you wanted a cosine with multiply r, yeah? So you multiply r on both sides, you get r squared equal to a times r cosine. R squared is x squared plus y squared equal to a times what? X. Yeah. So then you will know x squared plus y squared minus ax equal to 0. And then you use the thing, then you will know that this is a circle. Okay, so what is the radius of the circle? The radius is even a over 2. Okay, so you have to to do this. And similarly, you know that this is a circle on the y-axis. So because you can complete the square, it will be x minus a over 2 square plus y square equal to what? A over 2 square. Yeah, so this is why you have the center here. And similarly, you will have the center right here. Okay, so for the moment, you will need to remember r equal to a cosine is a circle on the x-axis. R equal to a sine, it will be a circle on the y-axis. And okay, on the x or y, it's not y-axis anymore. It's how could we say? Just remember it like this way. Okay, so graph r equal to 4 sine theta. Okay, use multiples of power 6. Okay, so that's too much. Okay, so I only wanted you to remember to sketch the graph. Yeah, to sketch the graph. R equal to 4 sine theta. Where will be the circle? It will be on top of the polar coordinates. Yeah. And how much is here? Here is 2. That's all I need you to know. Because the whole thing here is what? 4, yeah. Okay, so you can practice, to find all these values, but I only need you to directly know here. Did you see? I only need you to draw the picture very quickly here. Okay, so the tests for symmetry. There are a lot of homework questions related with this. Okay, so what will be the symmetry with respect to the polar axis? This is the polar axis, yeah? So it used to be symmetric to x-axis. What happens? Your x value is your r stays the same. Your y goes to negative, yeah? So theta goes to negative theta. Okay, so then what happens here? This is what symmetric to polar axis. So if your theta, okay, so polar axis, okay, so what will be happens to origin? Do you remember if r at theta here, origin will be what? Your negative r, Yeah. Okay. So what will be the negative r? Negative r, do you guys remember? So if you draw the negative r, what will you do? You draw it instead of theta, you draw it goes the other one, yeah? So here is this, yeah? So this is negative r theta. Okay, so r theta, if you change to negative r theta, what happens is actually symmetric to what? Origin. Okay, so now how could we change to r theta to negative theta? So first I will do is r theta to r negative theta is right here, yeah? And what happens with negative r? Instead of going this way, what will you do? Go to the other one. Yeah, so this is how you find the negative r negative theta. First find r negative theta, and because negative r, you what? Instead of go this direction, you go the opposite direction right here. Yeah? So this is why negative r negative theta is right here. So this is symmetry with respect to the line theta equal to pi over 2. It's similar to the y-axis here. Okay. So if it's symmetry with respect to the theta equal to pi over 2, your r theta is what? Negative r negative theta. If only r changes to negative r, that is symmetry with respect to the pole. If theta changes to negative theta only, that is symmetry with respect to the polar axis. Okay, so now let's look at this one. R equal to what? 1 plus cosine theta. Okay, so we wanted to check the symmetry. Polar axis. Polar axis means what? R theta, R negative theta. So this means we wanted to change theta to negative theta. We wanted to see whether it's the same, yeah? Okay, so your R stayed the same. Your theta wanted to go to what? Negative theta. Are they the same? Are. And because cosine is what? Even. Because cosine is even, yeah? This means cosine negative theta and cosine theta are always the same, yeah? So what does this mean? R equal to 1 plus cosine theta. What happens here? Then it is symmetric to polar axis, yeah? It's symmetric, yeah? Okay, clear? So why this thing is symmetric? Because cosine negative theta equal to what? Cosine theta. Okay, so what do we wanted to do here? Okay. Similarly, okay, sorry. Similarly with before, I will put a blank sheet and work with you, okay? So R equal to 1 plus cosine theta again. So we wanted to check with the other one, yeah? So R theta goes to what? Negative R negative theta. This is called what? Symmetry with respect to theta equal to what? Pi over 2, yeah? So now let's check whether they are still equal. So what do we have? R changed to what? Negative R. And your theta changed to what? Negative theta. So what do we have? Negative R equal to 1 plus what? Cosine theta. Yeah, so because cosine is even. And what will be R? Negative 1 minus cosine theta. Are they the same? No. So do we have the symmetry? No, not this symmetry. Okay, so no symmetry. Not symmetric to theta equal to what? Pi over 2. You with me? So then r equal to 1 plus cosine theta. What is the last one? Symmetric to what? Origin. Origin. What does this mean? Your r theta goes to negative r theta, yeah? So let's say you have negative r equal to 1 plus cosine theta. What happened? Negative 1 minus cosine theta. Do we have the symmetry? No, they are not the same. They are not the same, yeah? 1 is plus, 1 is minus. So not symmetric to the origin either. Not symmetric to the origin. Okay, so this is how you check it. After you substitute the negative r's, negative theta, or only one of them, and if you get the same equation, then you have the symmetry. If not, then you don't. Okay, this is to do it carefully here. Okay, so then what will they do? They also wanted to draw the graph, yeah? So r equal to 1 plus cosine theta. So then you have to choose what special angles to draw. Okay, so why do you only choose from 0 to pi? Because you have the symmetry over the polar axis, yeah? So you only need to draw the top, then what will you do? Symmetric to find the bottom. This is why they only choose the special values there. Okay. Okay, and this thing later on you will know that this is called what? Limicon. So this is a limicon. Okay. Okay. So there are 4 different types. Okay, so you guys only need to know. Okay, so these things are always like different types. I call it reformations of circles. Okay, so if you have a plus b sign, because cosine sign is only by itself, it will be circles, yeah. But if you have a plus b sine, a plus b cosine, that will be squeezed over the circle. Some parts it's not right, yeah. So if a less than b is also called what? Limicons, yeah. So if a over b less than 1, it will be like this: heart-shaped, dimpled with no inner loop, no dimple and no inner loop. Okay. And this one has an inner loop here, yeah. This one is called cardioid, yeah. Okay, I think these two are pretty useful. So a lot of questions in the future you will use it. You will see these 2 pictures a lot. Okay. Okay, so this you do not need to memorize it. Do not need to memorize. Do not need to memorize. You only need to know, okay, these things. Okay, that's enough. Okay, so and then the next things you wanted to do is what? You wanted to draw several more polar equation. So r equal to 3 cosine 2 theta. You can check the symmetry, yeah. Polar axis, what will you do? Theta goes to negative theta. R stays the same. Line is theta negative theta, r negative r, yeah. So this pole is r negative r. So the only thing that does not change is what? The first one. So the only symmetry you have is what? With polar axis. And then similarly you choose somewhat different values because it's polar axis. You can only choose from 0 to pi, and then pi to 2 pi using the symmetric symmetry to what? Polar axis to draw, yeah? Okay. Values between pi to 2 pi, yeah? So you do not need to draw. And this will, you will get a picture like this, yeah? So this is 4 petals. Okay. Beautiful, yeah? Beautiful. So mathematicians can draw beautiful pictures. Okay, so it's called, these are actually called loose curves. Okay, so r equal to a sine to theta and r equal to a cosine to theta. Okay, so one thing I wanted you guys to know is if n is even, then the rose has what? 2n petals. If n is odd, then the rose has what? n petals. So if we have what? A cosine theta, how many petals do we have? If we have r equal to 7 sine theta, how many petals do we have? 7 petals. So if we have 8 sine of 12 theta, how many petals do we have? 24. Okay, so if you wanted to draw some very beautiful rose petals and show it to your, like siblings, yeah, you can use your calculator to draw r equal to 8 sine of 24 theta. Then you will have what? 48 petals. It will look awesome. Okay, and so the next type of things is what? R square equal to what? 4 r square equal to 4 cosine 2 theta. Okay, so you can check the symmetry, and actually it is symmetric to polar to the line and also to the pole. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, that's very nice. Then this means, you only need to choose the special values basically in the first quadrant, yeah, quadrant 1. Yeah, so because all the others you will just what? Make the symmetry. Yeah, so make it, so if you choose only this part, yeah, symmetric to the polar, you get here, symmetric to the theta equal to pi over 2, you get this, yeah, and also symmetric to what? To the pole, you get this. You with me? So you only need which part? Which part? Which is the color I want? This one. You only need this. Okay, so then for this one is polar axis symmetry. This one is theta equal to pi over 2 axis. And this one is what? Origin. Maybe symmetric to pole. Symmetric to pole. Okay, so you can draw the rest of them. Okay, so that will be this one. This is a lemniscate. Okay, I'm from China. I do not remember these names. Okay, you can try. Okay, so r square equal to a square sine 2 theta is symmetric to what? With respect to what? To the pole. Cosine is symmetric with respect to the everything. Why this one sine 2 theta is only symmetric to the pole? Because sine is what? Odd. Okay, you can practice after the video. Okay, good luck.